what we're going to be doing. All right. So everybody completed the form? Anybody not completed the form at this moment? Perfect, guys. Again, if you, and then you can open up your email if you are on a computer that's yours, and then if you haven't, go to slides.bocajs.org. Okay, everybody seen this? Everybody has their email and looking at this? Let's continue on. Silence always means that we can move on. These slides are provided by the MLS, which is the Major League Hacking. They have different events that are going on. You're very welcome to Google them at MLH, I think, .io. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So the basics of what we're going to be learning here is both HTML and CSS. They are the backbone. Every single website you've ever seen, no matter what you've heard, if people are telling you that it's a PHP website, it's a C# website, it's this backend, it's a Python. If it's a website, it has two things that you're seeing: the HTML, and the HTML is styled or looks different because of the CSS. Nothing else. The browser doesn't understand anything else. It does understand JavaScript that makes these things move and do different things, but truly, all it does is see HTML and CSS, and we're going to learn about that. All right. I'm repeating myself on my slides because they are not my slides. Here's what we're going to be doing, pretty much. Intro to CSS and HTML. You guys will be able to follow along on your own website that you can keep for yourself, bookmark it, and go back and show your friends what you've done, and essentially show exactly what's going on. We're going to add content to the website. We're going to add different things to the one that's yours. We're going to create a style sheet that's going to customize and make it look differently. We're going to play with it, and we're going to do a little bit of a quiz. And the quiz, you really do it yourself at your own pace and your own time. And there'll be next steps as to what you do from continuing on. I'm going to add one more. I will be here afterwards, not only to help you guys as a coach, but also to answer any questions you do with anything, with how to be a programmer, how I became a programmer, what to do with your setup, how to set up your Visual Studio Code to make sure it's right, what's the right editor. The answer is any editor, as long as you use it well. And you guys follow me on this website, similar to the one we just saw a second ago, mlhlocal.host/first-website. And you guys go there. You guys will see this website when you go there. You'll see it downstairs. mlhlocal.host/first-website. Okay, perfect. So hopefully you see a website that looks like that. Website will look like what you're seeing on the screen right now, and it will be customized. We'll see an image. This is what will end up. You guys will have this, your own version that nobody else touches, with this exact information, with this exact text. You can customize it anywhere you want. You can put your name and your picture if you know how to get it, and we'll talk about that. That's perfectly fine. But ideally, we're going to end up with something like this. Okay? Any questions so far? Nice. Second to last, I want you guys to go to a particular website. Now, what we would normally do as web developers, go ahead and go to Glitch, glitch.com. So if you guys watch Wreck-It Ralph, that's our website, glitch.com. On the upper right-hand side, there's the word sign in. Click on that and just either sign in with, you have two, I don't know if you have more than two choices, but you should be able to either choose, click on sign in. You can choose to sign in with your Facebook. You're going to click on Facebook, and it's going to allow you to go in without any questions. Sign in with your GitHub, again, if you had one. Or at the very bottom should be one with sign in with email, which simply asks you some basic information that you have an account. That you want to write down, glitch.com. You will have a website within glitch.com in just a minute. But at first, make sure you sign up to your account there and all that. Otherwise, it won't let you do our next step. So we'll give you guys enough time. Some of you guys have already finished it. That was really fast. Just go ahead and sign in. Some of you guys probably have clicked on a particular button and go in there. Okay. So again, we went to glitch.com. I'm already signed up. So I will get something like this, but don't worry about it. You'll get a different page. I should have signed myself out there. Okay. So there should be a sign-in. Pretty much it's going to ask you for email, 2 passwords, essentially the same thing to make sure you have it back. This you want to write down, or you want to memorize this. Glitch.com is what you're going to be doing when you get home and go to this website. For those of you guys who are using your own laptops, you can simply go to glitch.com. Like I showed you guys will already be signed in. Okay? Some of you guys are still typing away, so either we're updating Instagram or we're getting signed up. Confirmation? Is there a confirmation you have to do? Okay, okay, perfect. Just give it a couple of seconds and all that. Huh. I wonder if you... Did it let you sign in? Huh. Well, okay. This is something I think that they have to fix. I think we should make it easy for you guys to sign in. We have to be on the Lynn.eu Wi-Fi. Well, he seemed to have logged into his website just fine and all that. Yep. Yep. Up it. For the slides, so the first time we signed something, we signed in pretty much to get the slides and the source code, which I'm going to show you how to cheat. Go to slides.bocajs.org and you can get the slides right there. But for the next one, we'll need it because what we'll do is if you got the glitch one, that's it. That's all we really cared about because we really want to go and make the work that we're going to be doing over the next couple of minutes in there. Okay? So you're signed in. I see that from your laptop. You've signed in. Is anybody else still waiting? Are you still waiting for your email? Okay. But you're able to see your email, right? Yeah. And you're able to see other things from the MLH group? Yeah. Okay. MLH, yes. That's right. Have you gotten your email? Have you been able to log in? Okay, perfect. All right. So everybody else still waiting for their emails, or has anybody else? Can we raise your hands if you already gotten the email? Gotten the emails? Over there in the corner, have you gotten the emails? Mr. Fantastic, unique laptop? The only white laptop here? Silver? This is amazing. You got your email? Okay, you still waiting for yours? Okay, okay. We'll try the following. Make sure you can go back in and make sure you've typed in the email address correctly. So perhaps you did that already. I've typed my email address all wrong a couple of times in my life, and by my life I meant the last week. So. Excellent, excellent, wonderful. Then you know it's on its way. It just might be like inundated with our massive group here and all that. Nobody can see it, but there's like 300 people here. I'm recording this, so this is facing me, you guys. Don't worry about it. It's also facing out there and all that. Anyways, good. So that's fine. Your email will come, and when you do, you should be able to go to this. But we can try the following and see what happens. If not, we'll try to continue with a different way. Now that you know what glitch.com is, okay, it gives you. This is going to end up with glitch.com, but if you guys can go to mlhlocal.host, something we've typed several times before, /first minus website minus remix. So mlhlocal.host /first minus website minus remix, or dash if you are an American. So you'll try that, and then it might ask you to log in again. The rest of you guys that have logged in successfully will be sent to a website that lets you have the option to remix this website. Now, let me explain to you, and I think I haven't gone through very easily. Glitch.com will give you guys a minute to get your email that way. Glitch.com allows you to essentially start on an iPad, on anything you want, on your grandmother's computer, on your own computer, and start programming right away. You'll see what's going on. You won't have to save. You won't have to think about what to install, if Dreamweaver or Visual Studio or whatever the case may be. You'll be instantly on the website, and you can continue on. You can do your work here, and you can build onto it later by simply remembering the username and password that you typed into Glitch, or looking it up on your email address, and then getting back to it. So it's one way that we as developers can start instantly and continue on. And I'll show you guys, if you're interested, a bunch of different websites like this that do something very similar. So, have you guys all gone to mlh.com/first website? Gone to the bottom, you should have gotten a website that has a bunch of code. Gone to the bottom and clicked on the remix your own.
Yeah, it actually redirects you back to the
To where?
MLH. Yeah, like MLH Workshop.
Really?
It redirects me to
So it should have been, let's do that.
workshops.
All right. So I should have gotten somewhere here. You guys should see what I'm seeing right now. I've logged in, so I have my photograph in the top right corner. You will have like a letter or something like that. I'm going to click on it, and it should have gone to a website that looks more like this. Did it go for this for you guys? Okay, some of you guys. How about you? Did it go? Okay.
It just redirects us back to the local hub.
That's okay. I mean, it could be a website that says the word. You don't mean like that, right? Yes, sir.
So for Glitch, can you like share it with your team?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And you'll be able to work on it together and all that. That's amazing. Okay, so let's try that again. So the answer is yes, and it's a great use of that. You guys can both work on it together. So he works on the CSS, she works on the HTML. Yes. Now you can't work in the same file at the same time, or there'll be a little bit of conflicts. But at least you can share it, and you'll be able to show it to other places. Like, hey, look where I am, and see what's going on there. Try this again. Go to mlh localhost.host/first website remix, and because the first dash website I think was the look of the website, which well, it's still going to glitch, but let's try that.
So now it works.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So it'll show you, and then what you can do is click on the top right screen, and it says Show Live. And you will see. Have you gotten your email yet?
No, I'm on that page.
Great. It lets you continue. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Awesome. See that URL at the very top? Let's get to that because I think it's a good idea. Oh, hello.
Oh,
Yes.
right there.
At the very top, let me see if I can do this correctly, is this website. You guys see that? I've zoomed in, but you guys can see that it says glitch.com/edit/pound pound exclamation mark, and mine says two words that are unique to me. Yours says two words that are unique to you. Do me a favor, grab some piece of paper, write it down. That is how you get back to it. At any moment, once you're logged in, you'll be able to log in. I'm very glad that you've showed us that you don't need to log in. For you guys, what it's also done is added to your list of projects. So you just log in, forget those two names, and then you'll be able to see over there. For you, you can write that down and all that. So for everybody that has this is the most important to write down, right? Those two names that you get there. Yes, sir.
For
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
You can do a new window. Thank you. So for you guys that are there, like this gentleman, what's your name? Nicholas. Now, Nicholas has shown us when you click on it, there is an option much more that says, and it says new window. This will open up a new tab, and you'll be able to see exactly what we're doing here, which is congratulations. What's your name? Hacker. Wow, amazing. Is that exactly anybody's name? Did I get that right? Anybody? No? I got nobody's name right. Jeez, I should have asked for you guys' names first. All right. Live and learn. Live and learn. All right. So let's go back to the slides. So, like it says here, we've seen that. Now, notice something very interesting. Those two words, for those of you guys who wrote it down, now move to the front of the word glitch, and glitch changed its name to glitch.me. Now, like you mentioned, you have now two versions of the website. The one you work on, that you type, you edit, you change, and the one you can show off in front. In fact, you guys can use this for your presentations tomorrow. If you feel you have enough with this website, that you've achieved this goal, once you simply click on Go Live, you will get a URL that you can go up there and showcase. And it will have pages, and it will have exactly your text. There won't be any intelligence in the back end that gets something from the database and comes back with a list of the cool stuff. But at the very least, you can put the websites up, and people have won with this. So just be aware of that, okay? Everybody kind of get that what we did? We didn't touch it yet, and we will be touching in a minute, but the important thing is that we now have something we can present. And not just go like, hey guys, I know you're looking at an editor here, but just, ignore my stuff here, look at the right-hand side. Okay. Next step. What we're going to do is we're going to edit the file. We're going to edit what's going on here and start editing the website. So go ahead and click on, see on the left-hand side, it's a list of all the files that make up this website that's now yours, that you've created. On the left-hand side, if you click on index.html, you should be able to see what is XML, and which is actually HTML. Do you guys see that? When you click on the left-hand side, do you guys see that it changes to this? Okay. We're just going to look at a couple of different things in here. You can see that the words your name is here. You can see that the words your name is down there. And we're going to look at different things. Just look at it, because we're going to edit it in a minute. I don't think this was just doing it. We're going to make sure that it says something else. We're going to change the word hacker to Ada Lovelace. Okay? I like that. Make sure it says your name. So go ahead and go to the very bottom. Actually, can you guys figure out how to do that? So go to the bottom. I think we're going to do that. Okay. So go to the bottom and it says, what's your name, comma, hacker. Erase that whole line between the H1 brackets. This is a little bit off, guys. We're going to go into more of what this HTML is in a minute. I'm surprised this link is here. And between the word what, the W, and the question mark, erase all that, put your name on it.
I just put my name in it, so it's
Perfect.
what's your name and then my name.
That's fine. That's fine. Now, without even saving anything, click on that same button we did before on the Go Live, open up a new tab, and now your name should come up there. Excellent. Did it come up there?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I can't see it from here. Excellent. Okay. So at the very top, there is either what's your name, comma your name, or you know, if you have typed it right, the whole name. If your name does not appear, we're gonna talk about why, because you probably broke some part of the HTML. Does everybody's name appear? Did you guys everybody kind of went there and got it there? Fascinating. I can see from the excitement in your faces that you are blown away. But trust me, this will be impressive when we do a little bit more about it. Cool, like they say, it's official. Okay, so they're talking about things that I've already talked about, which is on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of different things. What we worked on is the HTML, the index.html. Index is a very special word. In the web world, it means the first. Because in the web world, we can have a million pages, but Facebook.com has to have a landing page. You can't just go to your aunt's page. You can't just go to the one group you like. You can't just go to one place. It has to have a landing page. The first one is usually called index. It's just a word. That's why we use index.html. What kind of a file is it? It's an HTML file. They also talk about the word README. In some situations, and this guy, we make a file called readme.md, which is a particular kind of file that describes the file. It's not really for websites. It's not really for anybody to see. It's for other developers to see, where you're telling other developers, hey, this is how you get it online, by the way. There's this one trick, and it's a bit of a pain and all that, so just be aware of that. Okay? And they also talk about the word assets. So a lot of times we have a lot of images, we have a lot of things that could be mixing up with, you know, like a bunch of CSS and a bunch of JavaScript and a library and this and the other. And we're like, wow, that, if you guys can picture it, that can really get complicated. There's a million images, and you're like, all I want is my 5 pages. The website's 5 pages, just loads different images depending on the 5 pages. So I want to put it on a little bit on the side, on a door I can close and say, images are there. Yes, sir.
Is there, I know this is a bit ahead.
Yeah.
Is there a way on Glitch where you can add photos in?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There is, and we'll talk about that. We won't be using it right now. We'll be doing a bit of a trick when you add your image in there for your own website, but there is a way, and we'll talk about that a little bit afterwards. It will be in the assets. If you click on the assets, by the way, it says new file. You'll notice that the new file icon just above it adds and activates, and you can be able to press on it to add a new file. Add an existing file that you have on your computer, as this gentleman is going to probably be doing. You can do that right now. If you have an image that represents you or is of you that you like, or just a logo that's cool, you can click on the assets, click on new file, and upload it to it. Okay, so that's something we're going to do, but we're not going to do it as part of this script, but we can do it in the future. They talk about different things. They talk about 2 things. We're going to talk about this in the future. Right now we're going to concentrate on HTML. In the future we're going to talk about CSS, which I know some of you guys are here for specifically. There's 2 types of CSS. There's 2 types. They've split it into 2 things. One which is the styles, and we use a trick. I don't know if you guys have seen it, that Twitter or your favorite website might look differently on your phone. I don't mean the app. I mean the browser on your phone. It's just slightly different, and it's even more slightly different on an iPad, where it's like, wow, there's 3 versions of this. We don't have 3 versions of the website most of the time. We use CSS to manipulate things, move things around so that they're right place for the right platform. And this is what this media query is, but don't worry too much about it. It's just information. Remember, these slides are later available. All right, this I feel is in the wrong direction, but HTML, it stands. If you're interested in hypertext markup language, it was created by scientists in the CERN, and it was created to share information, images, and things like that. It looks like XML, that is, that we start and stop things, and we say this, that we're going to talk about between here and here, we're going to talk about a title between here and here, we're going to have a paragraph between here and here, we're going to have the header between here and here, we're going to have the content, and this is how we communicate those things. Talking about that, this is it. You can just look up here, and you'll see that we start most of the things with these triangle brackets. They look like they're next to the question mark and the period. Did I get that right? Nope. The comma and the period on most of the computers, unless you have a computer from a different country, in which case they actually are in different places. But just look for the triangle brackets, not the regular brackets, not the curly brackets. We'll use that in CSS. These are the triangle brackets that are on most of your keyboards are in the comma and period. Anybody not see them in the comma period, or you guys all know that they're there, right? Less than, greater than sign. We say something's there, so in other words, we're going to talk about the body of our work, the body of the work, the title, the information about it. And whatever we start, we end. And this symbol right here, which is the one with the question mark on your keyboard, will be how we define that it ends. It starts with something that says we're going to define something, in this case the body, and then it ends with something that looks almost exactly the same except for that slash. You'll see it again. Let's do that. He talks about different parts, but I know that in later on slides he talks about specific fields in there. Okay? All right. Let's see if we have... I thought we had some parts about it. The important thing is to concentrate on the fact that, for example, if we're thinking about an H1, and an H1 in HTML means the most important header. They've shortened the header to the word H. They've made it most important, as in we came in first place, as an H1. So you'll see in some of them that you have put your name between the H1. Whoops. In your code that you've seen there, you see the H1, and that's where your name one. That means it's been highlighted as the most important thing. It is going to be the biggest thing on your screen. They talk about other things which you're like, wait a minute, why is this all the stuff at the very top, and then the first thing I see on the website is what's kind of in the middle of the screen? Do you guys see that? That's actually the first thing you see on the website. This information communicates something to the browser. It says what should be at the very, very top, and the tab at the very top, some information about certain things, about what the browsers were expecting, what it's supposed to be looking at, and also where are the graphics, where are the stylings, and things like that. And we'll talk more about that as we go more into it, okay? Just be aware of those things. Again, he mentions that over here. These are style sheets. They start with a word. They are very similar to everything else. They have the open brackets and style. And then, unlike the body that we talked about everything here, you guys can see that it's simple. We say body, and we say slash body at the very end. But if you look about the metas and the styles, he puts something in between, he or she puts something in between the last bracket over here. This adds more information. This defines more. In the case of the style sheet, let me zoom in over there. Can I do that? Oops, I guess I can't. In the case of the style sheet, it says we're going to have a link, should be the word style, where we're going to pass the file that's going to give us all the tricks. Instead of putting all that beautiful styling code that defines how it's going to look like, the font, the color, the spacing, the margins, all that, grab that and again put it aside. As developers, we want to see as little as possible on the things we work on, because usually putting on, and we care about the content. We may we may say our graphic designer is going to take care of the styles. So in this line over here, we just sort of say the styles belong to this file. Go and bring whatever that comes into our system, and we'll use it later. Do you guys have any questions so far? All right, good. Again, we're repeating what we said before. The styles that you see here on this line, kind of number 7 there, I'm sorry, number 8, on your page as well, will be the information that has to do with the styles of what it's going to look like. Below that, it's what it's going to look like on a mobile phone. Okay? But again, you won't see any of those things. You'll just feel like it will load it later. All right. He also talks about other things, which is we're utilizing, when we want to choose a font, there are a certain small number of fonts that all browsers that you all have in here, and you have a nice combination of things from Windows computers to Mac computers to iPads to Chromebooks and all that. There's a small list that everybody shares. When we want to expand that list of fonts, we can utilize, again, the same way we utilize somebody else's work from a different file in our package of files. What we can also do is say, you know what? Hey, Google, let's reach over to California, grab some of Google files that they've provided for us because they're being nice to us, and utilize it in our package. So we're using not only our defined information, but also in this case we're using fonts from a different place. So they're bringing in fonts from somewhere else. That's what looks so good. By the way, nobody memorizes this thing. We all Google it. Okay? So where that style sheet comes from the Google fonts, we all Google it. Okay? All right, let's see what we have here. Okay, and we've talked about this. There are different type of tags that we care about. Inside the body, we work inside the body. Our body of work, as they say in English majors, belongs, and we put our content on this one page, and this can never be more than one page. So it's one page. And we put it inside these places. We do in things like H1. Does anybody remember what H1 was? Exactly, thank you very much. So the most important header, the biggest of all the headers, and where we put our name for a little bit earlier. And you can see what information about it is. The P tag brings a paragraph. It'll give it a little bit of space above it, a little space below it, so it's technically a paragraph on any kind of a book. Okay? All right. We've done HTML. Now, there is more to it, but we've gotten the basics. I want you guys to get the idea of the basics and what's going on in here. So let's talk a little bit about CSS. Before we continue on, did I leave anybody with any questions? Do you find that there's more of it there? We'll go and change some of the contents. We'll add some more a little bit later. I think they want to sort of introduce ideas. So we have a tag that says H1, and we've all defined what that is. We know that it's a big font. And by default, the browser knows it's going to be a big font. It's going to be its own line because it's a title or important header. And it's going to be the same color everything else, black with a white background. What if we want to change that? Styles comes and helps with that. Now, we would normally do this on a styles.css, and we will. But let's look at what CSS looks like. CSS has an understanding of what you have in HTML, but it doesn't look like HTML. It kind of looks like programming language, if you've ever seen it. We say what we're talking about. There's no triangle brackets. It's CSS. There's no intelligence. There's no programming. We're just talking about the look, the style that we have, right? You like my style here? Probably not, but this is what we're talking about right now, right? H1, we're talking about those H1 tags between what is the triangle brackets, what I call triangle brackets, the greater than less than signs, H1, and then the other one, which is greater than less than H1 with a slash that says we are ending this. Okay, we're going to say something. It's kind of obvious. There's going to be a color. We're going to put the word period just in case we want to say there's other kind of keywords. We're going to say for the color, we want to use the word blue. And if you notice, it's English. Now, what's not obvious is when they mean color in this situation, they mean the color of the text. Because we do have background color or border color. When it's just color, it just means text. And you guys can all guess what the word blue means. It means the same color we all figure out, the Lynn color, right? They should have used Lynn, but we're not. They used blue. So You guys can guess that if you type in that, we're going to change something blue. What's going to change blue? The whole website? Just the text. Which part of the text? The header. Thank you very much. What's in the H1/H1. When I talk of those words, you'll see programmers all the time. They'll kind of drop the triangle brackets. They'll just talk about what's inside the triangle brackets. Because, for example, when they're talking about CSS, we don't have any greater than less than sign. We just talk about the tag, as it's called. These things are called tags. So, okay, repeating what I just said, what's in between the curly brackets, again, that's the top of your screen, close to the enter on your, below the equals and minus sign on your keyboard. These curly brackets define that this lets you know that this one line is done. This is important because you can put multiple things in one line. Don't, it'll get confusing. You put multiple things in multiple lines, but just this means I'm done with that. Okay? We're gonna add that to our website. So, okay, let's do something cool. Okay. So, they want you to do that. Now, down there, what they mean is they want you to go down there to the page again, to your web page. Make sure you're starting on the index.html. And below what the header that has your name, there's a P. P, greater than, close from P, and it says, let's build something cool. They want you to add something cool about yourself. Something unique. It can be a long paragraph, it can be something short, but let's add something cool about it. So you guys can go ahead and add something cool in the P element. Now we talked about, you guys don't mind me if you're still adding it, just continue on. They want you to add something that we don't have over there. We have an H1 and we have a P. They want you to add an H2. So between the H1 and P, by the way, it can be anywhere, add an H2 tag. See if you can figure out what I just asked you to do. There's a quiz there. I'm telling you how to do it. Add an H2 tag. Think about how the H1 looks and add an H2. You're not replacing the H1, just adding your own. I've zoomed in a little bit. Right where my mouse is here on the screen, I want you to add an H2. Now glitch is great. It shows you a website, and if you feel that you've added it correctly, you can go to the click on live and choose new tab or new window and see your results, or simply switch to the tab you already have opened already with your results and hit the refresh button or the F5 on your keyboard. The refresh icon there, if you know what I mean. And see if you've added it correctly. It should look smaller than the H1 because it's not as important. Didn't come in first, came in second. But it should look a little bit bigger, or at least different, than the paragraph you have. I'll do that with you guys. Oh my, I am zoomed in way too much. So I'm going to click on here. I asked you guys to change your name. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. We changed it like this. My name is Damien. Interesting fact, I like to teach. And I've asked you guys to add an H2. And hopefully you guys have added it by now, and you guys are bored waiting for me to add it. So I'm going to do it H2, close it, and it's giving me a hint of what to do at the very end. So if you look at it just below, there's a gray line. I don't know if you can see it's gray. It is gray on the screen. Below it is an H2 closing tag. This, whoops. This is an H2. Now, HTML is incredibly forgiving. So if I put in where I made the mistake here and say this is not an H2, it will allow it. It will not get mad at me and continue on just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and I could click on this show and go a new window. Another option is I would simply switch to the new tab that I have here. Oh, and without even refreshing, I didn't realize that. It will do that. Oop, and I can see it just fine, but it's tiny on that monitor. You guys can probably see the same thing on your screen. You might not see the second line is not an H2, but you'll see that the word Damien is in very large and is already in blue. What we talked about, apparently they had already done the styles. The H2 that we added in between that has no H, no P, no nothing is there. And it looks a lot like the paragraph that we added at the bottom. And the H2 is smaller than the H1, but not as small as the P or the text I got in between. So you're now getting the basics about it. It's all text. Now, here's another thing that's important to know, and I don't know if they go into a lot of detail. Let's try this. This is due to. This is another paragraph. And then a third one with a lot of space. Space above it, right? And I'm going to make it that true by putting all the space. Because I like it that way. I want that space. Cool. That's exactly what I'm going to have about it. That space is gone. You see that? Because HTML will let you do any content, but the rules of the spacing and things like that are not automatically followed. Now, if I wanted a lot of space, or at least I want to separate those 3 sentences, can you guys figure out what I could do to separate? Yes, sir. We have a BR tag. That is a correct answer. There is a BR tag here, and we can do this correctly like that. That's an excellent suggestion. This gentleman has suggested we put a BR tag, and it does. That second line is separated. Let's do the same thing at the very end and do that way. Yes. So there's a million ways to solve the same problem. This gentleman has solved it perfectly with this way. A little bit of code that says, I like it, just press an enter and give me a new line. Not a lot of space, but a new line. Okay, that is an excellent suggestion. What is another way that I can do this to separate these 3 paragraphs? I don't need them that separated, but I want them to look like at least, you know, kind of like this. Whoops. Take this little tab. Okay. So again, I'm going to zoom in. I want them to at least look like this, with a little bit of space between them. Can you guys see? I'm going to switch to the other tab. Whoa. Can you see something that has it? The I like to teach has it. So how do I make it look like the I like to teach with just space above and below it? Not these 3 sentences that should be spaced. What can I do? The BR works very well. Absolutely. What's a different way of doing this? P tag. What do I do with a P tag? How do I use a P tag? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And then I'm done. Right?
No, just copy paste you need the ending.
I need the ending. Excellent, excellent. Now the moment I typed in this on Glitch, and a lot of developers went like that, I put the slash, it realized what was opened and closed it for me. I didn't type in that last P. So that's perfect. So I do the same thing over here, right? So I do P, and I grab this. I'm going to grab this because it thinks it's going to be in here, or I'm going to grab the text. Whoops. Hello. I'm going to drag it up here, and it's up there. I'm going to do the same thing here one more time. Whoa. I'm going to grab this text. I'm going to drag it up here. Whoop, I've got the A. And above it. And I think I've got the T. Looks like I've got the T. Let's see. It. All right. Let's see if that did it for us. It did. Congratulations. Fantastic. Thank you. You guys all got what we did there? We just moved it around here. All right. Whoop. Let's do that. Okay. Okay. We jumped a little bit on. That's where I remember seeing it. And H2 is smaller than the H1. And okay, let's do something a little more advanced. In H2, we all did an H2. Hopefully, we all have that in H2. You guys all have an H2 in your code? Anybody not have an H2 in their code? All right. Thank goodness we didn't do this after lunch. All right. So we're going to do UL. Now, what they suggest is, do you see at the very bottom, down here, they say right after your H2, they want you to do a UL. So UL/UL. You guys see that at the bottom there? Whoops, let me get these captions. Whoa. It says UL, and the moment you add the UL underneath the H2 or the P anywhere, you're going to get a list. I'm giving away the secrets. You're about to get a list. Then they want you to do something like this. Now, can you guys right away? This might be a little bit overload, but can you guys see what I'm about to do here? I'm going to have a UL, starts and ends, and everything inside is going to be governed or following the rules of a UL. And each one of these is going to be a LI. Now, an LI means a list or an item in a list item. That's what the LI stands for. UL might means unordered list as opposed to an ordered list, which would have the numbers next to it. So what we're doing here, and you'll see it in a second once you do it, it was doing bullet points. There's an H3 followed by a /H3. H3. I think they want you, well, let's do it. Do you see in between there? I don't know if you're getting into the developer mind mode, but to me it just screams like there's something in between there. So let me take off this headphone for just 1 second so I can get a little closer. In here, I know I start and end something. I start and end this line, cool. I start and end, cool. I have something in the middle. These are going to be not as big as the H1, not as big as the H2, a little bit smaller, but there's something that has to be there. Otherwise, what am I making small or big? I have to write something there. So I want you guys to write something like a list of schools, or your favorite words, or your number of sisters or brothers in between that little space right there. Once you do that, once you fill 1 or 2, it doesn't have to be all 3, or you can do all 3, or challenge yourself, do 5. Switch to that tab that shows you the results, and then tell me what you see. So okay, so we do that, we switch over here, we go somewhere over here, they chose it over here, that's cool. Whoop. That's fine, over here. UL, I close it, oh my god, I close it and it already does it for me. I do an LI, each time I do an LI it closes it, and I have here my line, and then I do an H3 and it closes it. And it keeps me in that middle, where I can go number 1, because I'm so creative. Now you can put it on multiple lines, because we learned that if you put an enter in between, HTML doesn't care. Or you can put it all together. So if I want to keep it all together for whatever reasons, I can put it in 1 line. Okay. List of my sisters. I'm going to switch over to the tab that gives me the results, and you guys should get the same once you guys are finished. You'll see a bullet point list of all the things you've listed out there, and they'll be bolded, as in highlighted. All right. All right. So they wanted you to do the following. They wanted you to do a little bit more than what we talked about. If you notice carefully here, it looks like that we have the difference. They have 3 different projects. They had the H2 for the projects. They had the individual things that were highlighted and a text in between them. First, the projects. Let's do that together. So think of the things you did. I did a list of my sisters. So before my UL, I'm going to switch over to it here. I'm going to go here and say, I'm going to take out this paragraph. Just before, I'm going to say, my sisters. Well, it's actually my sister-in-law's. My wife has a lot of sisters. Okay? And then below it is the information. Now each of the information we don't have to put just one line in there. We can put anything you want in the LI. And they're suggesting that, I'm going to zoom in over here. So if you guys can look up here for 1 second, this is an LI. All this that I've highlighted here, from the LI to the underline. And in here we have the list of one of my sister-in-laws. What I can do here is I'm still inside the LI, so I can still do it within the bullet point, and I'm going to do oldest. Youngest. And I can put it with a P, like I'm doing here. Now I've added more to my LI, my unordered list, my bullet point, if you will. I have a header inside this LI. So the LI starts with the top of the highlighted text to the top of the bottom of the highlighted text. I have a P, I have an HR. I have a P, and I have a short description. That could be a long one. Oldest, most beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Or I have a small text. I'm going to go to my other tab and look at it. Whoops, there we go a little bit. And now I have more. Notice that I have a whole stuff, a bunch of stuff within this LI. I have the highlighted name of the sister that we're talking about. I have a short description, which would be really long, multiple paragraphs, as it is a P. And I have the next sister-in-law and some description about it. You guys all, yes? Perfect. That's perfectly fine. So notice what we happens. Great. So let's do that. So what he said, oh my goodness, is we went in here and just had regular text without the P. And that's perfectly fine in HTML. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to switch to that one. And notice that more or less, because of what we've done, it's pretty much the same. It looks the same. So the bottom two have their description in a P tag, and the top one doesn't have a description at all. So that's perfectly fine, and that's there will be differences in other situations with a P. In this situation, there isn't. But if I wanted multiple lines, we have a problem. We can either use the BR, like our friend here has explained us, or not. Everything good? All right. All right, let's go to our presentation. Any questions so far? Have you guys all ended up with something similar? It doesn't have to be as long, similar to my example or similar to this. It doesn't have to be that this exact paragraphs in this exact order. It's yours, so you do it as you are creatively inclined to do. How are you guys doing there? It's everybody kind of gotten this so far? Okay. And as I described, there's a UL. This is the big parent. We call them parent and child, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. The thing that we describe, all the following are going to be lists, and each one is a list, and then we shove in our content inside this list, and it looks like a bullet point. Again, these slides let you know more information. Repeating what I've just said a second ago, you start and end. Do you guys see that we call it a parent because it has its children? all these things have a bunch of, all this UL, start and end, if it was two hands of a parent, would be holding on to all the different LIs, all the different children's and the things within the children's, the grandchildren, or whatever the case, in this case it is. But does that make sense to everybody? We are calling these children and grandchildren in some situations. And again, we call these tags. This tag defines how it's going to look like, what it's going to do, some properties about it. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of trick. We're going to add an image. To do that, I want you guys to do the following. If you go ahead and look in the Assets tab, back in your images, on the top left corner, there should be a directory. It looks like File Explorer. If you click on it, it will open up. Some information will come in there, and then you'll be able to click on it. Then you're going to right-click on it and copy the URL. Now, it might be different on each one of the ideas, and it might be difficult on iPad tab. Yeah. What will happen is you'll click on it and it will save it. So what you can do, Mr. I have a tablet, is, let me see how we can do this. We're trying to use the image, you know that. So what we can do here, I'm going to click on Assets. No assets. Do you guys have the same thing? Oh, I think it was from the last one. Yours says a kid? Say it again? That's perfectly fine. Just, and it says add assets. Just sorry. Let's add it over here. Let's go ahead and good idea. Oops. Whoa. Went way too far. Let's do this. So let's go ahead and go. Let me just go back to my presentation. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. Where were we? Good. All right. Can you guys see the first website that we did? You might have the tab still open as one of them, and we're going to copy the image from here. You can do this on the iPad. This will work for just fine. If you don't see what it is, if you don't have this available, the URL is build minus or dash your dash first dash website dot glitch dot me. You might have this tab open. We opened it already, and you saw it a second ago. So build dash your dash first dash website dot glitch dot me. Great. Once you guys have it there, just go down to the image and follow follow the following instructions. You can if you're on the iPad, just click and hold it. If you're on the Mac, you have to go Control. If you're on the Windows, you can right-click. If you have a right-click on your Mac, you can do that. Right? Yeah. No. On the perfect. Wonderful. How did you copy it over? Magic, right? Great. So I went ahead and saved it. On the Windows, you can right-click. On the Mac, I think it's Control. And I saved it. I'm going to click on the desktop just to make it simple, just so that if you have done this, if you haven't done this, don't worry about it. Rename it to something like, you know, IMG or PIC or something that makes shorter sense, and it'll be easier for you on the iPad to do so. So something short, save it somewhere that you remember, the downloads, or in my case, the desktop. Then I'm going to, everybody did that? Everybody saved their image? On the iPad, they have no choice, but you'll have them later. Everybody saved that image? Switch over to Assets, click on the assets, similar to what we had Joey ask us a little bit earlier. This gentleman already took it, did it, excellent. Click on the words Add File, New File, then Add File. You guys following me along here? You guys probably already figured it out. Click on Upload, and go to the place you left it. Pick the image, same thing on the iPad and everything like that. Once you've done that, you should have an asset on the left-hand side. Let's see let's see if we got a, there you go. It took a little bit of time, but there it is, my asset or my image. You guys all get there? You've uploaded an image to that. Anybody not upload an image to their assets? To there. That sounds bad. Should have there. Great. Now, this time, for you, don't worry about it, because you won't be able to do it on the iPad, but you'll be able to do this in the future, which is, for the rest of us, we should be able to copy image address. If you click on it, oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Yes, thank you, sir. Let's go ahead and click. Awesome, wonderful. I love those kind of accidents. Thank you so much for that. Definitely click on it. You can do it on every single platform. You can do it on the iPad and all that. Click on the copy, and we need that in a second, so we're going to copy it. We have that on our clipboard, and let's follow along. The next step, if you look at the slides, is go ahead and copy the URL. I think that's exactly the instructions. Apparently you read the instructions better than I did. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Appreciate that. We're going to copy and create a new tag, image, and it's going to be unusual, but let's just follow along here and all that. Do you see a C at the bottom? It says IMG tag. And just before you close it, put a space and type in SRC equals, let's zoom it in here so that's easy for everybody to read. Okay. And of course, just don't copy what's on the URL. Between the quotes, you see there's a quote. What's in red is quotes. Put the first quote. It'll make the closing quote, and paste what you have in your clipboard between the quotes. You should have something that looks like this. It will be an open triangle brackets or greater than IMG space SRC equals a quote, something that looks like this, and it should stay red. It will finish the quote on the other end of what you just copied, and it will finish the triangle brackets or the less than sign. Yes. Greater than sign, less than sign. And more importantly, and this is the important thing, the colors are they're on purpose. You'll notice that the quotes stay in red. If some part of it stays out of red, like if this is in red and not in blue, it's because you forgot a quote. Like it's telling you something's wrong. And you'll have a hard time. And it may or may not work in HTML. Everybody kind of got that? Yeah. Switch to the tab.
So I typed that in. There's like a red circle on the side. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. Let's do that. Let's do that myself. Let's switch it. Oops.
So if you hover over the dot, it'll tell you what it is.
Ah, yes.
Well, it does on them. Can you hover with your finger? So what's the tag? Is it the IMG?
Yeah, I think they all seem to do that.
The SRC in capital letters.
Excellent, excellent. So it's giving us information. So the circles usually mean a couple of things. In Visual Studio and other developers, they let you stop. So as developers, we don't always code. This will blow some of your minds. We don't always code correctly. So we do make mistakes. So sometimes there'll be a red circle letting you know what's going on. Sometimes it's a yellow circle in some browsers. Other ones, the red means they will stop there and show you what's going on. So you can go and say, give me a second. I'm not too sure about the code just above it. Let me just sort of stop here in what's called debug. Okay. So once you do that, you should get something that looks, and again, yours will be little, it's this huge image. And it's now taken over all your website and made it tremendously big. Do you guys have to have that in your preview? Does everybody have that? Good. Okay. We've got an image, but it read my mind, almost like I saw this coming. It's huge. So let's correct that. So it's giving some information. Let's break down what it is. The image tag is an element. Now it's unusual from all the other ones you've seen because there is no /image. Because the image is represented by the source, the SRC. That tells it where to go. Some other details are within what's called the parameters of this tag, but there is nothing you put within the image. An image is just an image. It's not like a paragraph that says the paragraph will start here and it will end here. There's no start and end of an image. It just is an image. So that's why there is no slash about it. Okay? And we're going to talk about the size. What? Didn't it say how to change the size? We'll fix it later. Okay, that's fine. We'll add some context at the bottom of the page. All right. All right. So they want us to add, you could do this if you want. This is not needed. They're going to do something very fancy. You can follow these steps along when you get home, but I would do, you can be able to copy and paste about it. Let's skip this for now. Let's add what they're talking about, which is a footer tag. So at the very bottom, they ask you to add a footer tag. And they show you an example about it. Can you guys do that? The very bottom of the page, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to do something like that. And get that that where you see the big arrow, which is the cursor, I want you to add something like made by, and then put your name on it. And notice as you type how it's closing things for you and helping you with that. So you should end with the cursor as you type these things where the cursor is on the screen. And I want you to put anything you want in there. It's going to be the footer or bottom of the page. And of course, check it out in the preview, see if it is in the bottom of the page. And yes, that image is huge, so there will be some scrolling bar. I just noticed that on your card. So let me do that myself. We're going to go to our code. We're going to go to the bottom. I'm going to type in footer, close it. Notice it's doing like that. I think they had me do an I, and then this was, Okay, let's see. They asked me to do an A. Perfect. Thank you. And we'll talk about what an A tag and what an I tag is in a second. Some of them will be obvious. The A is not so obvious. Okay. So once you see a preview, whatever it is you typed into the footer should be at the very bottom. Okay. They want you, okay, so they're going to jump right in. Okay, an I means italic. It's what you've seen on the font. It's that little, it makes the font slide a little bit. It's italic, makes it different, make it stand out. The A, we just typed an A and we close the A as if there was nothing. And if you did that, nothing would have happened. But the A is very powerful. It links from your website to somewhere else. So they ask you to add the following. Go inside the A, when the A and the open bracket, put a space, and type in href equals, and type in quote, and somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. You can go to Google or you can go to Lynn University. They suggest LinkedIn because it makes sense, right? You're describing that you made your website, but just do anything for now. We're just trying to showcase that that's the case. A href equals quote something. Now, they're forgetting the HTTPS. I'm not sure if it's going to be something that we're going to be seeing in a second, but normally you would do a full qualified URL, as in HTTPS or HTTP : that you've seen when you sometimes have to type it or you've seen it publicly. But you'll notice that the browser is very forgiving and most likely will just sort of work just fine. Or perhaps trying to make a point here. You guys all have that? You guys have tried it? Yeah, go to the website, go down to the bottom of your preview page and click on the words made by and your name on the bottom on the footer. Click on it and you should notice that all of a sudden it navigates either to a 404 error or somewhere else where you have now gone to the right place. And then press back if it does that successfully. If it does not do that successfully, let me know what it did. Did it do that for you? Say it again. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. At the very top, where you have your code, click on Show Live. You see that? Click on New Window, and you'll be there. Ah, silly, silly, silly me. I clicked on Show and typed in Editor. Can you guys all do that? This switching back and forth was silly. You will see that on the right-hand side. I wanted to show you guys all these websites that do that because this is the best way. Your code still remains on the left-hand side. As you click on different things on the left-hand side, they will switch to those different things. So everything's the same. You just see your results. A little bit hard to scroll it, but you see it on the right-hand side. Click on, what I want to do, Sarah, is click on the word Show Live and Editor if you haven't done so already. So Show Live and Editor on the top left. And all of a sudden, instead of us doing the tab, Chris, you say, is that your name? Okay. So we'll see that, okay. Okay, so you can see kind of what you've done so far, regardless of where you are, and you see on the right-hand side this page and all that. Okay? Anybody not see that? Okay, good. Now, in the slides, and you're welcome to follow this, they've added a font. They've showed you how to bring it in. They've added the font over here, so it looks dramatic and has these icons like the Facebook and all these different kind of an icons. So just be aware of those type of things. We're going to skip those as we want to get down to the meaty, the greedy stuff. Add contact information. Okay, so what they've done is essentially instead of the words made by, they've replaced it with a logo. In this case, the LinkedIn logo. And you can follow along in those instructions what it is. What we did though is if you look carefully, it looked like a tab, and there was something that replaced our words, and instead of being P where it made it big or blue or font, it replaced all our words with an icon. And that's part of Font Awesome. We won't go into it a lot this time because we just want to continue on with the HTML part and the CSS part. Little refresher. A stands for anchor. And it means all the information that will link from your web page to something else, or from one of your web pages to the next of the web pages. Maybe the about you, or the picture, or the gallery, or the maps of where your business is at. Okay? Can you guys can you do me a favor and just close a little bit smaller? No more? Well, just a little bit less. Okay. Thank you. That's enough. Yeah. Just see what's going on. The I is an element that just makes it, they use it as icons. It actually is italic, but they're using it as an icon. Inside the A, we have href. And href means where it's going to, which website it's going to. And it is both relative, which means within your own website, just go to the /maps page, or /about us page, or /order entry page, or absolute. And this means go to Google, go to our Facebook page, go to my LinkedIn page. So that's where we define the href. Target. You guys have seen that sometimes you go to a web page and you click on it and the page changes to the Facebook page, or changes to step number 2. You can also click on it and go open up a new tab so that your page remains in another tab or another window that pops up. We do that in the A anchor tag by changing the target. And in the example that you have in your slides, you have done that and all that. In yours, when you clicked on it, it changed to LinkedIn or Google or wherever you had it go to. If we had changed the target, it would have opened up a new tab that went there. Class. We can say P class or an H1 class, if you look at the styles we did, is blue. But sometimes you're like, no, I don't want all H1 tags to be blue. I want only this one and this one. You can specify that or uniquely classify them by this class attribute. We'll see if we get this along the way, but just be conscious of that. You're like, I don't want everything to be blue, just a few of the different ones. And we'll ignore this. This is a type of a class that gets hidden only because of some things that we've done about it. Text element. All right. Some ways that we can do this is we make them different ways. We can bold them, we can emphasize them, we can make them italic as you've done with a footer. One of the ways you can do is with the EM or strong. It just means, hey, this particular section, I don't want it to be its own H1. I don't want it to be its own line that's big, huge. I just want it bold. Maybe the first letter of my sentence or something that's unique about it. Okay? And you do this by all sorts of, and there is a million tags. There isn't. It's much less than that. But let's just say that it's a lot to understand. As we talked about, it asks you to do the EM, not a big deal. You can try the different ones and all that. So yeah, make sure you don't drop that. Add some strong text ones. We can skip this part. We're all done. Let's style this. Can you guys, on the left-hand side, leave the index.html and click on the styles.css. you will see several things. I'm not sure what's in there right now, but we're going to be adding a couple of different ones in here. So let's see what's in there. Let me go there. Styles. Ah, same thing we're talking about here. Let's break them down a little bit. Again, when we talk about styles, we're just talking about the look. So we can just ignore the triangle brackets and just say this. We're going to talk about the body. Everything in the web page is going to follow these rules. Everything that's in H1 is going to follow this rule. The text color of the H1, anything that's in the H1, will be Dodger blue. Don't know what that is, but I can guess it's blue. Everything on the website, no matter where it is, whether it's in the top, bottom, footer, header, left, right, content, other things we're going to learn about, should be using this font size, or this one, or this one, or this one. Just in case you're interested, you can define which fonts you want, and then you can define which fonts you're okay with. So it will try to use this font. If it doesn't find it, it will use this one. If it doesn't find it, it will use this one. It gradually falls back on fonts and all that. And that, and in the internet world, we have to be aware of. Not everybody has the same computer in front of. In this room, we have 3 different kinds of computers. We have iPads, we have Macs, we have different things. So just be aware of that. So we kind of gracefully fall back. And there's a margin. A margin just means a little bit of space around what we're talking about. In this case, the body. It's going to leave a little bit of space in between that. 3% means on a big screen, it's a bigger space than on a little tiny screen, which is a little tiny space because it's percentage-wise. Everybody kind of get how we're talking about everything in the body, so therefore that talks about this. The curly brackets start and end our rules. The H1 start and end our rules. Any questions about this? No? Kind of get it? We're talking about different things. All right. This is something, if you don't quite get it, don't worry about it. This is new, and it's changed. What we've done is over a period of, whatever now the web is now at this moment almost 30 years old. So it's changed. Everybody had old, big, huge monitors with resolutions that were equal to, my watch. You remember that. Now we have the difference is now this fairly new Samsung Galaxy phone has a huge resolution, and it's actually more pixels, more periods than this big 15-inch monitor. Now that means that we have to think about it differently. We can't just go, I wanted 15 pixels that way and 2 pixels this way. On this one it looks great. On this one I barely see it, right? I need another glasses on top of my glasses to see it. So what they've defined is they said, okay, we're going to give different ways of measuring something. So we could say percentage, as we did a little bit earlier. We can say, 3% border looks about right. On a little tiny phone, it'll be a small thing. That's cool. On a big one, it'll be a big percentage. But then we have other ways, and we won't go too much into it, to define different things. These are exactly period little pixels this wide or this wide if it's bigger. This means relative to the actual physical. What is this? 2 inches, 3 inches by 1.5 inches, as opposed to, 18 inches by 13 inches. I guess that's a lot less. I'm thinking centimeter, or whatever this number is. So these two define that, so that it can look the same. So that it takes up a lot of space in this because it's a monitor, and a smaller space on this because it's a bigger screen. So you have to memorize these. Something just to be aware of. Because sometimes we used to say pixels. Everybody had the same kind of monitor, about the same size, with about the same pixels. That has changed. And that there is a million colors, including, and I'm not sure they're going to go into it, colors where you specify exactly the color you want. So at work, we have a particular shade of green that is exactly the green that I'm supposed to put everywhere on the website. So I can't just find it in here. Dodger green, dim gray, Lynn blue. We have a specific color, and so we define specifically. I'm not sure we're going to go into it. Just be aware of that. And it looks, you'll see it's just a bunch of letters, 6 of them always, that define something. Let's add some colors. Oh, nice. Let's do this. Go to the styles.css and add this tag. And you'll also notice that as you type, go in there to the very bottom, on the styles.css, and add the H2 open brackets color colon dim gray. We're just going to change some of the H2s that we have in there to slightly gray. So in styles.css. Having done this, that's it. You are certified as an HTML5 and CSS developers. I will hire you tomorrow. If you guys want to come in on Monday, I guess. We'll wait. Well, you can take tomorrow off. Yeah, that's right. That's a good idea. Smart, Joe. All right. So all of it looked fine, but we have this huge image. We have these basic tags. Please, Damien, you tell me this looks. I've seen, you know, some of you guys. I remember when HTML was back there. Some of you, most of you guys are going. I've seen archives in footage in black and white where websites look like what we just made. This has changed. Let's make it a little bit more modern. Let's shrink that image down to something more reasonable, and let's put the content on the right, not just all lined up like a big tall thing as if I'm going to read it and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. That's silly. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to grab a particular section. We're going to grab the list that you made, either the list of, in my case, with sisters, and you made the list of maybe projects and all that, and add an end with a section and slash section. Actually, they want you to do it in the whole thing, don't they? All right. Just do it. Just do a particular. It's going to be the left-hand side. Section and slash section. Again, there's a lot of these tags. Some of them don't mean anything, but we will make CSS make them mean something. And do the same with you guys. Switch to HTML. And grab my sister-in-law section. Oh, I think it said all the way H2. That's fine. Section. When I close this section, it helps me to it. So I'm going to grab this closing section, cut it, and put it at the bottom of my UL. So I've put it between the H2, which happens to be my list, in my case, my list of sister-in-laws, and outside of the UL. Well, the whole time it looks like I wasn't being charged. May I share your connection over there? Is that has power? Thank you very much. I think I heard a beep. Yes, it does. Thank you so much. So how are you guys doing? You know, I don't walk around because I'm attached here with the headphones, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to tell me that you're doing, or if it looks like we're doing everything right, if you added a section. Nothing will happen on the page once you add the word section. But we're going to do something in just a minute. Was that your question, Joe? Okay. Here's an interesting thing. I'm a developer. I like things my way, but it doesn't mean anything to it. I've highlighted a section, just happens to be the HTML, inside the word section, something between the section and the slash section. I'm going to grab and press the tab key on my keyboard. Because this is a special HTML editor, as you do, as I press the tab key, it moves to the right. I may like it here. You may not. So you go down hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to press the Tab key while I'm highlighting it, and I'm going to move to the left. If I keep on going, it goes way, and it lines up like that. And to me, that kills me. That's really hard for me to read, because I still need that, that tabs to make sure I know what's apparent, and I consider the parents to be inside, and I consider that to be to the right. So I'm going to go Command on my case, or Control on yours, and go Control Z or Z, depending on whether you're Canadian like me or American. But what's the American way of saying it? Z? Z? Okay. There you go. All right, so we've done, like Joe's mentioned, we've done this, and congratulations, we've done nothing. But what we'll be able to do at this moment is define something. And let's utilize something we learned a little bit earlier. See that class? Let's go ahead and add that. So the word section, let's open it up, put a little space to the words, and add the words class equals main. I should have asked before, does anybody need a little bio break as they need, or anything, or need to get something to drink, or something like that? You guys are okay? Okay. If you do, just step away, or whatever the case may be, or let me know if you all want to do it together and all that. I had, when I saw you get that charger, I was like, oh my god, and you're right, I wasn't even charging, so now I'm hooked up. Thank you for a reminder. So what we did, Sarah, is we added a section between the H2 and the last bits of the UL. And it's in section tag, section, and then we've added the word main in there. So if you guys all have that, and what Joe mentioned a little bit earlier, and he was absolutely right, is it didn't change anything, the page didn't change, but we're just preparing something that we're doing a little more advanced, because after all, you guys are beyond beginners, you guys are advanced now that you know. So that's what it looks like at the very top, and then at the very end there's that slash section without anything afterwards. The slash doesn't need anything in next to it. There's nothing, it will be read in the slash. It just means the end of this section, in this case. Perfectly use of the word. Wow. Okay, and what does it say? Add two div elements and put about. Okay. So let's do. We collapse paragraph. Okay. So they're letting you know something here, which is very interesting. If you've typed in a lot of things, a lot of browsers will do this little arrow keys, which, and you could try this out. They're just letting you know that, for example, here under a section, I'm gonna zoom in here. Whoa. Do you see this little what's it called? Chevron? When I click on it, it opens it and collapses it. It's not changing the code. It's changing your editor so it's easier to read. If you're like, I have this huge section, Damien, and the top, I don't need to change it. I've just been asked to change the footer. I just want that to sort of get out of the way so I can quickly look at the rest. Most of the editors will have a way to sort of collapse and open this up. Then they ask you to do, they're going to ask you to do a div. So random word section, and I think just before the end of the section, whoops, yellow. A div and an end div on the other end. You see that? Just below the section, up here, div, and just before the slash section, a slash div. Okay? But what we're doing is we're creating what's going to be on the left and on the right side of the web page with this idea. So if you guys have all done it, I'll do it myself live on the code. I'll go to where it is, our section here, and I'll go up here, div. Again, it helps me by giving me the end divs. Don't forget that. I'm going to grab it, cut it, go Control X or Command X, go to the bottom just before the end of the div, and paste it. And if I've done everything right, I can use those chevrons, those little triangles, by clicking on it, and for example, I don't get the section removed. I've clicked on the div, see the chevron, the little triangle that's to the left of it? Should be, are you able to see that on the iPad? And you click on it? Good, good, good. So if you click on it and you've done it right, that means that the word section and slash section don't disappear. So you put the div in the right place, and there's nothing other than that. So that's another way of also checking, because remember, HTML carries about parents and children. So everything inside here, and you're like, wow, everything except for these one lines is in red, and I meant the whole thing to be red. What's going on here? And once you use these chevrons, these ways to collapse it, you'll notice, oops, I put the div, the slash div, the slash section, the slash p in the wrong place. You can move it around to figure that out. Okay, we've added the div. Yep. Where did we add a logo? All right. So let's do this. Let's go to styles and type in what you see at the bottom here. Open up the styles file, and at the bottom, or the styles file, really anywhere, but at the bottoms, do this. And notice there's a period next to the word logo. And notice that we didn't do a logo tag, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But just go ahead and type that. Styles.css. You won't see it there, but just add that to the very bottom of the styles.css. Yep. Obviously, ignore the line numbers. Just the the line numbers are not part of it. Just the period, logo, open square brackets, text minus align, colon left, semicolon, width, colon, 48, VW. The VWs are the things we talked about a little bit earlier, where we are talking about the width as it relates to a large or small window. We want 48 units that's divisible to the page. It will make sense. Now, if you also have let's go ahead and type it. If you do have the preview on the right-hand side, you'll notice one more time, as Joe's favorite word is, nothing changed. This is simply because we're about to do something to the image in just 1 second. So let me know if everybody's typed that. Yeah, well, that's fine, fine. I don't want to go too fast, that's all I was asking. Excellent. And remember that there is a period in front of the logo, and we'll explain what the period is in there, because you'll notice nothing else in that CSS has a period in front of it. Everybody typed that? Good. You'll notice, like we talked about before, nothing has changed. What we want to do is add some more. Oops. Oh, there we go. Let's add some more just underneath what you just typed in the logo. Add one more section called dot main, open brackets, and then put what you see there. And you'll see a couple of things being in there. Again, we'll notice that some of these things haven't changed in our web page, but this we're preparing for some things that we'll see in the future. As you can see, the screens of the other people, that's because they're ahead of you guys. They've finally finished their website, so that's how much excitement you will get when you finish yours. Most important thing to a comedian is the laughter. I appreciate that, sir. All right, so everybody typed that? Anybody still in the middle of typing that? Okay. Again, we're just talking about different things. When we talk about the display, we're talking about how it should line things up, and we'll see what happens in a second. The flex is one possible choice of those displays, and it's a modern way of doing things that will make it very easy to align things to the right, regardless of the device that we're in. Space around and content justified, the things we're going to do in a second. We haven't, I think, have we done that? We did. Do some magic stuff here. All of this, had we set it up, we haven't yet, would have been changing our website and made it look amazing. Right now, let's go put those things up. The periods, by the way, I don't think they're going to talk about that. How? Oh, okay. Just another reminder. The height defines the height, and then the VH again is another unit that is different on a phone than it is on a laptop, but looks pretty much the same. 70 gives you the same kind of a feeling. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it look like that. We look at the page again. We want to set the dimensions left and right in this section. Now, right now, your web page does not look like this. It is lined this way, and the image is huge, and the text, all this text kind of at the bottom. So we're going to do something like that by going in there. Now, the reason why you guys, all the work you did, go ahead and do this. Under the section, look at that div, pardon me, and add the class equals, quote, left. And, oh, I'm sorry. Did we do this? Okay. There should be a left and a right, but your list should be on the right. So I think in my case I had the section only include the list. So let's change that. So let's see, where is it? My section. So what they said, right? And they meant up here. So as we did, if you had followed me along, we did a div only under the section here. And I think we need to have this stuff here be a different kind of a section. So I'm going to grab this main, if you guys want to follow along here, grab it main and move it to the very, very top. So what I did is I have a div here at the left that is starting right at the top of the page that has my image and my left. So if you want to click on the chevrons, the triangle brackets, you will notice that if you collapse, you should end up with something where a bunch of stuff close to the top is under the div and slash div of the class equals left, and a bunch of stuff is on the class equals right. So I moved the section. We had kind of a section in the bottom. Let me go over there to see your example. I moved the section. I noticed the section was in the wrong place. So I grabbed the section and moved it up. Good. This is good to look at the things. And grab the whole section again to cut it. Move it to the, yeah, I moved it way above the H1. Yeah, no. Just a second, but not the slash section. Just that top of the section where we cut it. I just moved it above the H1. Correct. And then what's not in right now in this div, pardon me, reaching over, that div some of you guys have gone ahead and that's perfect. But right away, they shouldn't be, we shouldn't, with our tags in here, we shouldn't see two styles. We should see only one. What we do to define this is these periods, you guys have gone ahead and I love it, is we have to tell it what all the left and right and these things are. So I have two divs, a left and a right. Whoa, it's tiny up here. I have a section called class main. I have a div class equals left with a bunch of stuff in there. You're the same. I have a below the div and the end div with all my stuff that includes the image or my H1 and things like that. I have it inside this div. Inside this one, is it me or is it really blurred? Inside this one is a lot of the LIs, right? The list in here. And all of that is in this section. With only the footer and the stuff below the footer being outside. I think a lot of you guys, you've already gone ahead, that's excellent. By all means. You do that by going to the slides and following along, then it's great work. But just for the rest of you guys, just make, and it won't change at this moment. We still have to do some things about it. So everybody have that? I think I've gone through all you guys and you already had that. Some of you guys are ahead, that's even better. Let's zoom out. So again, I don't have at this moment, my image is still huge, and my text at the very bottom, which says it's in this div called right. Therefore it should go right, and we'll set it to right in 1 second. And this image should be a lot smaller. So, let's do this next step. Once you do that, go back to the styles, .css, and write these two. For those of you guys who have already done it, that's perfect. Continue on with the slides. Otherwise, for you guys who haven't, I know you guys haven't, go to the styles.css and write these two lines. If you haven't guessed it already, and the second you do this and you save it, you do just type it, you'll notice on your editor, the right will move to the right, and the left will move to the left. If we've done everything correct. So I'll go ahead and do that. So you guys, did that work for you guys? So right away you should have seen that. So we do that, styles, period, left, comma, period, right, width, 48, 3W. All right, so, oh, I missed all the other stuff, the displays and all that. So let me cheat a little bit. I didn't do this stuff that you guys did already. Well, let's do this. Have you guys done that? Oh, are we here yet? Once you've done the left and the right, do this and the image. Image. Once you do this, the image will shrink. All right. So for those of you guys have as everybody has at least the content on the left and the right at this moment, and the image at least smaller once you finish with these things. That's okay. Okay. So let's look at it together. That's okay. That's not so crazy. Yeah. Okay. So it has a hard time. So try a new tab. Instead of this preview over here, try the preview large tab over here. So that's okay. Just close it. You should have be able to go. Okay. Let's go and yes. You got it. Yes. Go. Good. That's okay. Now this could be because you have three sections that are left and right and on. with a good image. Okay. All right. I think we got it. So most of you guys have two tabs, I think, with the image. The image looks a little bit more, a little less ridiculous. Some of you guys had a small image, which you didn't see it, but if you had the original image, it was this big, and shrunk it to a more reasonable size, and they went to the left and went to the right. Sarah's had a very wide image, so her sort of bleeding into the right-hand side. There are fixes to that, but that's just part of CSS and HTML. We're going to do that another time with her. We talk about width and heights and percentages. If you guys want to go there, this is a list of some tricks, some common CSS colors. Again, the slides will help you with this. Not a big deal for us to do now. We did it. Time to customize. They suggest some customizations. They changed the font. I know you did it. Thank you. You followed along and you got some of the font awesomes and things like that. Not a big deal. There's some more fonts there. They have a quiz that you guys can follow along when you guys are afterwards. But really, let's see, custom, add fonts. Listen, I added this. This is not part of my Major League. This website is spectacular. You felt that went too fast, too slow. This website will go way beyond what I've done. We'll start at the very basics with just typing. We use it at Code Palm Beach, to teach kids. And it works great with them, and it will work with freecodecamp.org. Sarah mentioned that, and it is just a tremendous way to continue on. Does that have questions? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. I'm here if you have questions.